Hey, Coach Nate here, talking about protein today, kind of how it works, how much you need, and is it possible to get too much? Okay, so first of all, what is protein? Protein is made up of a bunch of little building blocks called amino acids. They're separated by things called peptides, where they break down your stomach with an enzyme called pepsin. Pepsin breaks them down so they can further digest into your, through the stomach lining, and where you actually fully absorb them in the small intestine. Now, once they're broken down into amino acid blocks, what happens is that your body can reconstruct these. They call them building blocks for a reason, is that they can be turned into hormones, they can be turned into enzymes, or they can be turned into actual structural pieces of your body, whether that's joints, tendons, ligaments, or muscle fibers as well. So how much protein should you be getting on a daily basis? And a lot of people have different answers to this. Some people say you can get too much protein. We'll cover that in just a second. But for now, what I want you to think about is the number 0.88. Now, science has decided that to get the maximum amount of protein, and get the maximum amount of muscle growth and just general health, 0.88 grams per pound of body weight is the absolute upper level. So what's the best type of protein that you can eat, take in, absorb, and get the most out of? Well, there's a lot of different really great options, but protein is basically going to be meats, eggs, and dairies what it comes down to. There's a few outliers, but that's the main ones. So when you're talking about easy to digest protein sources, what you're gonna wanna look for is low fat, generally like a fish will be a really great option. Like a flaky white fish is probably one of the better absorbing protein sources. Something that's a little bit higher in fat, it's a little bit has a little bit more maybe grizzle or structure to the meat, like a flank steak is not going to be the most ideal source to digest because your body has to break all that down. Now, one thing you can do to make that a little bit easier to digest is put it in something like a slow cooker. When we cook foods, we actually break down some of those proteins in the food to make it easier to digest them. So if you're gonna be eating something like a pork butt or a thick steak or some sort of cut of beef, that's a great way to break it down before you start eating it. That's why we've been cooking our food for years. Another great option is going to be like a white chicken, like a chicken breast, rather than the higher fatty version of the thigh. And the only reason I say it's better to digest is because when you have proteins and fats together, like we've been talking about previously, the fats slow the digestion of the protein. So if you want maximum protein absorbed as fast and as easily as possible, that's going to be like a white chicken breast, a flaky fish, or an egg white. Egg white is considered by somebody the perfect protein because it digests very, very easily in your system, okay? So another good option is gonna be a protein powder. Anything like that's gonna make it easy to get protein, especially after a workout if you're on the go, is awesome. I was talking shit about the carne asada, but it's still gonna be a great source of protein. And then yogurt, especially this Greek yogurt. If you're gonna do this option, I like a plain, and then a non-fat is going to be a much easier to digest version of that protein, but you can kind of adjust that depending on what you need at the time. So hopefully this has been helpful. If you're looking for more information, just drop a comment right here and I'd love to get back to you on that.